The Metal and Engineering Industries Bargaining Council says the sector is facing major challenges such as energy constraints, Transnet and input costs. The council has admitted that the 2024 wage negotiations will not be easy as the economy is under siege. The sector has seen an increase in layoffs, retrenchments and firms being placed under business rescue. Now, the sector is currently holding its pre-bargaining council in Kempton Park in Ekurhuleni to rebuild trust among all stakeholders as they prepare for tough wage negotiations. Let's dip into that process.
AMSA can delay what they want to do, but of course workers are not being spared. They now don't want to give increases. And NUMSA is very smart. We had some good percentage for last year, for this year and next year. We just said, fine, give us CPI. They believe they pay our members very well. They don't want to pay now, they want to have a wage freeze. But if AMSA were to pull a trigger, I was showing there somebody who's moving my slides. Okay. If you look at the hemorrhaging of what would happen in the industry, 70,000 steel that capacity will be lost to the value of 10 billion of local production and so forth. I'm arguing that that crisis is not just a crisis of AMSA. It is a crisis that as the industry must come together and find solutions such that that trigger is not being pulled. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. 17 companies will close in the component value chain, we would have to basically dump localization, which is the key to us. And I already indicated of the work that we've done in making sure that we are pushing. And it's important to say, NUMSA's attitude is that we must address everything. We must address the state of the economy, defend the current capacity, grow jobs, but at the same time appreciate that workers, the agreement we signed in 2021 has come to an end. I don't know how to explain that. Because, guys, we didn't need that strike in 2021. If you want to ask me why, we didn't need the strike because why did we then finally settle in the middle of a strike? Why did we compromise then? Which means we can find in the storehouse of men and women in this industry who are negotiating, we can come up with an agreement that can cater for workers and the working class in this industry. One person who's got a job in South Africa, beyond Stats and Stats SA and other statistic companies, they support 5 to 6 extended families. Why would we not do everything in negotiations and ensure that we move from our position and find a compromise and settle this round of negotiations properly? And I'm just saying, NUMSA is the most militant union. No, there are many unions, but NUMSA is the most militant union. Workers are ready to fight, but NUMSA members want us to settle this round of negotiations. They carry the burden of 5, 6 extended families. The life has become so hard and to working class families today. If you look on the household affordability in 2022, if you talk about transport to work, back will cost a worker an average of 1,408, and electricity 731 rands, and a basket of 44 basic foodstuff, 4,450. This has become worse today. All of this, the lives of workers in terms of socio-economic conditions of the working class. If you're talking about food access inadequate, people who get food, but the people who are in severe conditions, the situation was worse then. It has deepened now with levels of unemployment. People are losing jobs. There's no hope for the future. Poverty is very rife. And we cannot transform our economy without transforming the wage dispensation to one that provides decent work and decent wages. Wage negotiations are a platform to look to these socio-economic conditions of the working class. In 2022, all workers across all grades received increases lower than the annual average inflation of 6.9%. Workers saw an actual decrease in their salaries between 1.9% and 1.4% in 2023. Workers in the majority of grades receive increases lower than the average annual inflation of 6%. For 2 straight years, workers in the industry have been facing losses on their actual wages. This pre-bargaining conference takes place against such a backdrop. This is consistent with a particular trajectory where for the past couple of years now, the workers' share in the national income have been going down. So I know Lucio will immediately check that I'm saying, Lucio, the majority of workers in the industry, they basically receive less than what the inflation was from 2022. Maybe you can say grade A, is it grade A? Grade A, a little bit. But the bottom line, if you're talking about the majority of workers in the industry, they have got a huge challenge. So, with these structural challenges, parties must be prepared to negotiate for settlement, which will settle this round of negotiation. And to settle any negotiation, it takes parties being prepared to move from their position. That's the first point we think we should. We're going back to really collect mandates from our members. We have got an agreement which was a product of a compromise. And NUMSA has been debating, do we open negotiations and go plant by plant to collect demands? Do we consider to improve the current agreement with a particular sweetener that suits the conditions of workers and the state of the economy? We're asking ourselves those questions. We're calling on the industry to also ask those difficult questions. Because I think as a union, we know one thing, that united we stand, divided we fall. We don't need to be lectured on that. Unity is a strength. And we're saying, if we're to go back and take stock of the fact that we've got that agreement, and maybe we can be creative enough. You know, I'm not talking now till I've got a mandate properly. And think of a sweetener that improves this agreement and push it forward. But there are a couple of other things that we might say to the industry you must look at. Like, I don't know, in every family, there's always a person who creates problems. No, that thing is not just happening at NUMSA. NUMSA has got many of those members of the family that are a problem. Of course, we face them at NUMSA. But SABC, you need to face some of the people who create problems. The agreement is there in black and white. They find their way. And as and when workers are not happy about what they are doing, they create a problem for all of us. So I'm just saying we will package those issues vis-a-vis the creativity of the kind of mandate and see whether we cannot be able to ensure that we move fast and find a quick settlement in this round of negotiations. That's our attitude. The other thing we think the industry must use this round of negotiations to deal with is the fact that a worker in the engineering sector worked here for years, and when he goes on retirement, my Lord, my God, he takes his last little money to build a house, to try and build a house for himself. He wants a roof. And then he builds. When the house is almost here, closer to the roof, mali pelile, stress kicks in, he sleeps, he dies, he doesn't wake up.
All right, let's come out of that conference. Of course, that was National Union of Metal Workers South Africa's Irvin Jim saying there that workers are faced with major challenges. This, of course, as the steel and metals industry itself is facing a very bleak future ahead, of course. This is as they go into negotiations. This conference was a pre-bargaining conference, just looking at various challenges that are being faced in the industry.